Ready?
Right.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the City of Kingston Tree Commission meeting. Because it is just members, I'm going to forego a lot of the announcements. I'm just going to remind you though to please silence your cell phone if you do have it. And just remind you as well that we are recording live and we are live streaming. And so with that, I'm just going to jump right in and start the meeting at 5:02 p.m. Again, my name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the planning director for the city of Kingston. I'm going to go around the table and allow everyone to introduce themselves, recognizing that Vince Archer is absent. Tebby Collins may join us remotely, but for the time being, we're marking her as absent as well. So, Brent.
I'm Brenda for the city of Kingston.
I'm Ken Thing, I'm a tree commission member.
Evan King, tree commission member.
Amanda O'Neill, tree commission member.
Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the approval of the January 13th, 2026 meeting minutes. Everybody should have received a electronic copy from Brent. Have you all had an opportunity to review those? And are there any comments, additions, deletions? And hearing none, we need a motion from one of the commission members, motion by Amanda to approve. Okay, second by Evan. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Okay, very good. Motion carried. Thank you. Alderwoman Marvelli is supposed to be joining us. She may have gotten delayed. She's been very busy with new commission meetings and other things that she's got to take care of. So hopefully she will be here and we'll introduce her, but she is our liaison for this month or for this commission between us and the common council. Brent and I met with her, went through all of what the commission does, the grants, and that to bring her up to speed on that. So hopefully she'll join us shortly. Okay, we'll move on to the next.
Broadway. Review street. It might be the picture. The and
Libby is joining us now remotely.
yeah, Debbie's joining, so I'm gonna go back. Work had occurred. Done by the property owner. We now I in addition to paying to have the proofing work, the collective proofing work done for these, I'm also going to pull up Henry. Um, pretty rough. Arborical to do, um, and do heal these. Without the branches, going into a lion's tail shape. It's one of the framework. This one had been tabled previously by the commission, so we're bringing it back to, do the final, on how the commission responds. One. On the commission is worth.
So the additional trees are in front of their property on Broadway,
Correct.
the ones that, okay, that they pruned. Have you identified any others along the Broadway corridor that we might also request them to prune in abeyance of a fine for the illegal work that was done? I mean, initially they were proposing along a Beale Street, and I get that.
Right.
They are technically responsible for their tree maintenance along the Broadway corridor side, so I was wondering if there's any additional trees that we could identify and ask them to address in advance of a fine.
That's to. Or,
Mhm.
um,
I mean, it's up to the commission. I'm just saying that, I mean, what they did really is not over and above what they should have done to begin with. So technically, they pruned without permission. They pruned incorrectly.
right.
So they have gone back and done it, and I appreciate what they've done. We had talked originally about them doing some additional work in the Midtown community
Right.
rather than putting a fine on them, but we held back to see, how the work went with their corrective measures first.
Yes.
And I think they've done a great job, but I still think that they should do something more for the Midtown community. That's my thought, but it is up to the commission to make a decision, on what you feel.
Oh, I see where you're coming from, but the company already came out. Like the idea of them doing community service was different than paying a company to do pruning. So I mean, in lieu of the community service, maybe they could have had like 5 other trees or something identified. Now to have the pruning company come out, that's like a service fee all over again. The fine's probably less money than what it would cost to have a pruning company come out and do some more trees. No?
Potential. fine for total tree. Yeah. Out,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, is there something else that he could do more like the community service aspect without having to have a third party involved in it?
Potentially,
You could issue a fine in the amount equitable to planting another tree someplace in Midtown.
Just a quick question, like the first, the authorized pruning is done by what by the service company as well?
But it's handyman.
for the
Okay.
parking lot. Yeah. So the maintenance. The property owner put on.
I think like the thing is, well, like, of course, I know like ignorance cannot be, treated as a defense, right? Like just because you don't know, like, so at the same time, I will agree, like to have, I mean, just instead of to, just because they have done like, pruning and, they hire a professional service company to prune the tree and so that mitigate the, and
Right.
now there's no significant damage to the tree. So that's okay. And like,
Mhm.
just instead of like penalize them for their mitigation, then perhaps we can ask them to donate the tree to the community or to the city, right? It's just better for them as, treat as a donation. I think like, for them internally, like I mean, of course, they have to pay that money, but at the same time, they can, upload that cost into their, whatever the business expenses or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder like the difference between like a resident, and the financial liability of a resident with a tree versus like a business who owns, different businesses and like, to kind of like, I think it's also like you do what you can financially, there's this
Right.
also like maybe something we don't ask a resident to do, but a business, kind of like has like more of the
Yeah.
potential to kind
It's
of.
also going to create a goodwill for between the business and the communities. And just like, if they are donating the tree to the community and, based on the company's like,
Yeah.
the company in the city or something.
If we want to. That's. That's.
I think though that's what our cost primarily is. And
Right.
ours are done at prevailing wage rate.
Yeah.
So I
Our cost is
think
now-
with a private, if the individual was to do it,
Mhm.
I think the cost would be less than that.
Our cost. Type of tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like if we're going to talk about the donating the tree, also, when we talk about policy, it's going to be how many tree, maybe besides the location, right? It just depends on how many tree and in what. And of course, let's say potentially, let's say, okay, if the cost is greater, is too much greater than what they expect,
Yeah.
they can just do a 3 years plan that, okay, you donate a tree every year in 3 years and, so like it won't hit them at once, right? Just so this, I think it's still manageable. And I don't the only thing is to see like, okay, are they willing to do this or not, or like,
Yeah, maybe you can offer them like options. Like that will make sense for them, like between the necessary pruning that has to happen. And like, it's like you have the options either like to prune some of the tree identified, to plant a new tree, or like, or maybe open them to that conversation if they feel like there is something they can do that's kind of like, you know, and just find a way that's, I don't know.
I guess I'll. I would. Through this. What would be my street?
How about something like this? The property owner, had they followed the appropriate course of action, gotten the permit, done it according to our code, they would have been eligible for a $500 reimbursement. How about instead, and they're not eligible for that reimbursement at this point, I wouldn't think. How about they remit a $500 fee instead of getting a reimbursement? And that be the, so to speak, fine in this case.
So they would,
And then that $500 would just go into a pot of funds to be used for tree planting throughout the city.
yeah.
Cause it
Again-
was 3 trees, it's not the pruning of 1 tree.
Right.
So I mean, there was 3 big trees that were mismanaged.
do we know, I know like that to prune this tree probably is costing a lot of money already. And I think like if, you know, to think another way, right? Like if we are also imposing additional penalty or, I just don't want me to turn around and say, okay, you know, this is to terminate that particular the person who cannot speak English so well and
Right.
itself like and I feel bad, you know, I definitely feel bad for that. And I also can understand, but I think the fine, you know, the purpose of fine is try to prevent any future unauthorized pruning.
Yeah.
Right, and so this most important part is to really educate the community. And because it's a business and it should go both way, right? Because it will go, you know, like the education or like the application or authorization material should go to both like individual residence owner, you know, house owner or like a business owner
Mhm.
and the you know tree service company.
Maybe this is what I'm hearing. Was like, the regulations or didn't know. And maybe it's in future and like another instance of this.
Yeah, I think like the intent is important, right? Like, you know, because I think like at the same time, like we also want to encourage the proper pruning. Like, you know, to mitigate that, you know, the damage has been complete, you know, and being done, but like at the same time, to cause, you know, I don't want, like, I would treat a, you know, small business as a individual residents, like, you know, just to be more conscious about cost. And so if they already spend the money and they acknowledge like in what they have done wrong and they just need to continue to follow the procedure. And maybe the second time, then there's no outflows, there's no question we have to, like implement the fine on their action.
I see, yeah. Lively discussion.
It's not a clear cut, huh? It's very kind of like, do we just open like for donation and they just like,
Yeah,
if they want to give a donation for the, for the tree commission to kind of like, I don't know,
I mean,
I don't know, because it kind of fixed, when they did, it was a misunderstanding, they fixed it.
yeah,
So there's like this kind of like, but yeah, like, I don't know, it's,
I think
I
it would
could do it
differently if you hadn't already filed paperwork.
right.
Yeah.
Experience.
I think that it should just go to the fact that, you were trying to do something proper, something got screwed up,
Mhm.
but in the future, you cross your T's and dot your I's, because
Right,
if something happens again, even if it's presumably a mistake, you're gonna be held to the expectations of fines.
sure.
Tebby, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I can't hear a word that Brent is saying. I don't know why. Everybody else seems to be coming in. I guess, I feel like if the trees have been corrected, it seems like I'm sure it's cost them more to have to do it twice. So maybe that's, punishment enough. I mean, we could ask them if they would like to give a donation to the tree commission for planting of trees. But, again, I feel kind of the same as Evan was saying, we want to try to develop good relations with the businesses, and they did agree to correct the work. So I guess I'm not heavily committed to finding them.
So is it possible for us to ask them, say, well, we don't propose any fine,
Mhm.
but if it's possible, we would like the business,
Yeah.
to donate tree.
You could, uh, the planting.
Perfect.
Sometimes I think it's a bit better not
Something
for most people to do
Yeah.
things. They say, if you want to do it, and we
Yeah.
are happy for
Yeah.
you to do it.
No, that was perfect.
How's everyone?
I think that's good.
Okay.
I'll propose that motion. You just.
we said it, thank you.
Do we have a second? Okay.
You ready to vote?
Oh, right. Thanks, sir. Can we have a vote, please?
All in favor, Tebby?
I could not hear the motion. So could somebody repeat it, and not Brent, because he keeps cutting out and I hear nothing. But everyone else is coming in. I don't understand why.
Okay, we're all being picked up by the same mic, so I'm not sure why either.
So
I don't
close.
hear.
But the motion is effectively that the work is found, the corrective work is found to be suitable in lieu of a fine. So there is no issuance of a fine. However, they have indicated in the past a willingness to offer some other donated services for other city-owned property. If they choose to want to do that, make that service available, the city tree commission would accept that. They can work through Brent, or they could also, provide funds for additional plantings, street tree plantings at their, whatever they desire. But there's no fine being assessed.
Okay, thank you. I vote in favor of that.
Thanks, everyone. Moving on to the next tree, the last tree that we're going to.
I guess not.
Um. Tree. The share. Okay. That are. A city owned. Notified about these trees, on Broadway. Looked at all the. In them. Past, approval for the same. As well, we should open up for questions.
Are they doing anything to help stabilize the embankment there at all?
Yes, was my question.
Yeah. The trunks of the leading problem, so there's. Safe. Without. I think that's low.
And what's going on with that property?
Um. From.
Comment portion that you see from Long Broadway, looking up at it.
Yeah. I. Center, I think.
Need a motion to authorize? Motion by Amanda,
Authorize the cutting down of the 6 leaning trees for the safety of community next door.
is there a second? Second by Corinne. Any discussion? All in favor? Yes, all in favor? Debbie, okay.
Okay, those were.
Hi, Brent, according to my screen, you're muted. Maybe unmute yourself and then I can hear you.
if he mutes, if he unmutes his mic, that's gonna cause disturbance for the Zoom meeting. So he
Okay.
has to stay muted on his computer. I'm not sure why his voice is not picked. We're all being picked up by the same
Yeah, I don't get it.
mic, which is weird. We're all in the same room.
I'm playing with all these things and nothing is happening on my end and everyone else is clear. But Brent, I'll hear the first word and then it cuts out. So when you do a motion, just make sure someone else is saying it.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna backtrack a little because, Alderman Marvelli walked into the room, just want to introduce her formally as our liaison. As I said earlier, Brent and I met with her, to go over what the functions of the tree commission are. She's enthusiastic about being our liaison and, she likes the urban forestry program. She's aware of now all the grants that are going on. And so she's, going to be our ambassador when we need to go back to the council for other funding or other grant opportunities. So,
Perfectly fit.
okay. And we welcome you.
Did someone? These materials.
So with that, I'm just gonna move on to Arbor Day. Is, the Y representative coming or?
No, I think there's,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So
unfortunately.
I'll let Amanda and Corinne take over Arbor Day discussion.
Yeah,
I have nothing to say.
but,
Okay, then I'm gonna let Corinne take over.
yeah, because we just went, last week, with,
Okay,
with Athena for something else, and we also talked about this. So it was like, so we looked at the site and to look, what would be like the best like location for the tree, knowing that we're walking toward like the playground area. So we felt we should wait on this until the construction is finished to plant in this area. So we found that the best location was actually on the parking lot. The parking lot is definitely like an island, like a heat island. It's like, it's huge. There is absolutely no trees. I used to have like some kind of like invasive trees that have been removed, so that it's ready to kind of like take on like a new tree. And we are talking about having like this scarlet oak, which is like a beautiful, like in the fall it becomes all red and it's huge. Like there is no utilities that we know of for now. Like it looks like it really has the space to spread. And yeah, exactly. Like just at the corner here, like you can really like walk like on all the area and provide a lot of shade for all the trees. And
is that actually, so it would be on the Y's property, not the adjacent?
no, it's gonna be on
Okay.
the white property. We have to look with.
And there's an island area there now, or
Yeah.
is that, okay, so there is a green,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it comes back a little. I have to look at like the survey to make sure, like it's the right property. So we look at that to make sure. But yeah, it's a bit on the side. And yeah, it's because there's a parking lot also from the other property on the other side. So it double up the space, that this tree can cover. And yeah, we are thinking like about the big emotion side, that's all right, and with the scarlet oak that will become all right in the fall, it will be like a beautiful kind of like place. And also like the oak is one of like, it's kind of like the best tree for like pollinators and, like climate resilient and everything. So it's I feel like the best selection. Also, this tree can take on lots of salt. As of now, we cannot see because all the snow is, poured and put on the side by so it has to be like salt resistant. So this would be like a good candidate. So that's like our conversation from last week. So it's very recent. Athena is very enthusiastic about doing this project. She's really willing to ask. We talked about having like maybe the parents coming to help to plant the tree. So she's totally on board for this. And anything else, to kind of like let the community know about this. I mean, any like mail or anything they do, I think they will be totally okay to. And so I don't know, Amanda, like if you wanted to do something also like with the kids, because they're like, you know, like,
Well, I will try to get in touch with them again,
but
but maybe because you talked to them, they
Yeah.
have to call me back.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah. I'll circle in, you know, to kind of see who will be like the best person on their side to speak to, because they're like, you know, like the nursery program, you know, for the kids, which would be amazing to have them involved. So
Yeah, Amanda's done the programs in the past.
Yeah.
She does a great job
Yeah,
with, designing them, so.
yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. So that would be. I will, you know, that now because we aren't sure also like if we find a spot and stuff. So first wanted to make sure there was a spot, there was a tree, and now I feel that we can go forward.
So they will be responsible to take care of the tree, right? Once we
Yeah.
plant it. But I think, I mean, I don't know whatever the reason was or what, you know, because they were repeating the problem. Like they use, I believe like they would use like a couple of trees. The larger tree actually was removed but that's their private property. And so-
Yeah, because they were like all in the hill trees, and they were like just like all in bad shapes, and it was a nightmare. So yeah, I think the fact they kind of like remove the trees, you know, it's ready for that.
Is this an area where one of the older trees was? Like, is there an issue with potentially a stump
Yeah, that's what I
grade
asked.
that
I asked them.
could be an issue for digging?
I asked them, and they said they removed actually the roots.
Okay.
It's removal of the roots.
How long ago?
Oh, years ago, I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
They'd be com-
4 years?
yeah, as long-
So if it was grinded, it's probably good, but.
Yeah, and we can also see like maybe we can find like a location, because that might still be like, you know, a problem. So we plant it like, you know, like within some kind of limit space.
yeah. About the second tree,
Oh yeah, so there's also like the possibility to kind of plant a street tree on the side, yeah. And this could be part of the planting, you know, like in the spring. for
Right,
like some-
so the second tree would be, is part of the Arbor Day celebration too? You want to vote as part of that, or?
I mean, it's up to us. If we can plant 2 trees, yes, you know.
Okay,
If not,
it would be along Maiden Lane.
yeah, we should get shelter.
But for the program, you guys are gonna work with the Y to come up with, you know, the kids, or they
Hopefully.
doing activities. You need to get the mayor to do a proclamation,
Mhm.
Brent.
Yep.
Or Brent, rather, and,
Yeah, so, yeah.
you can,
Now, is that blue building there also part of it?
yeah, that's part of the Y.
So like, right, and so.
Why is it?
Did you get?
Why it is?
I don't know, like this. But I,
It's about 3 feet, I
yeah,
think.
I see.
That's the south side.
Yeah, I mean. The best.
So you're looking right there where the gate is?
Yeah, the gate.
Right, but
Yeah.
that's where you're not in front of the building here,
No.
so you've got more room for a canopy.
And the dark
Exactly.
spot.
Over there.
Exactly.
Yep,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So.
that public it has out on the sidewalk.
That's a better spot in reference to doing something for the kids, because it's going to be affected to the playground. That'd be more something that I would personally be interested in seeing, the planting for the purpose of what Arbor Day is. Like,
Mhm.
you know, the kids will know that as they're growing up and like living in the neighborhood, because a lot of those kids do live in the neighborhood and will go to, you know, probably GW or something, that they'll see it continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So can we have 2 trees? That'd be amazing.
Let me,
I mean, maybe different tree obviously for this spot, but
I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
Hi, Jack. Hi, Jack.
Hi.
He wants to watch the news. I'm moving.
And do you want to ask the two trees question?
Yeah, and then maybe when she, I have a question, Toby. Like, would it be can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be possible to have like 2 trees for the YWCA?
Probably. I will check with the Memorial Tree Fund, and I think we would have the money, but let me, I would need to get it passed by them. That's all. We could up our we usually designate 500, so I would just have to check with them, that's all.
Okay, great.
Could we do the street tree? We couldn't pull it out of the cities. I mean, we could pull the street tree out of the cities. We have plenty, and then we got the grants this year, so
So that's not.
I don't think it's a budget issue. It's just, and then they can focus on the one on the interior, because we can't do that space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do the celebration.
Right.
Okay.
And then you could get a bigger tree for inside,
Yeah.
which would be nice.
Yeah.
And then we can also put a larger tree on the street, which would be good.
Yeah. All good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna look into like species for the street tree and better location and stuff. Excellent.
Okay, very. Anything else you all got for Arbor Day right now?
No, I think we've communicated.
For the Memorial Tree Fund, though, you need to go to the nursery and get the tree marked,
Mhm.
like tagged. And then once it's tagged, let Tabby and Annie Schultz know from the Memorial Tree Fund that it's there. They go and pay for it. They'll pay directly to the vendor, like Adams or whatever nursery you go to.
Yeah, Augustine,
Because Kyla normally was the one that went over.
Hmm?
Kyla normally was the one that went over.
And picked it?
marked it.
I mean, she can do that again for you if you'd like. But I mean, if you want to go and pick a
Yeah.
tree for the Memorial Tree Fund, just let them know that they go and pay for it. And then we make the arrangements, Brent can go pick it
There are
up.
Adams, we've done it there too.
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, they might not have the tree we want because it's kind of like, scarlet oak might not be.
Yeah, now might not be a good time.
So like, it seems better to order it also.
Right.
Yeah. I think I did. It's rough quantity.
So like, how is the order? Like, if we have to order the tree, like, who gives the order for the tree? Like, if we assume they don't have it on site.
You have to talk to the facility because they probably all have different rules.
Yeah, but I mean, just is it on my name or is it like on
You could on your. To say that.
Okay, so I check with Toby and we'll figure out together about how and Amanda how to
Yeah.
go forward. But just keep it.
Usually you just would go to the nursery or whatever, pick out the tree you want, tag it,
I know, we do this.
and
but-
say Memorial Tree Fund, and then you'd let them know which nursery and what tree.
Right.
They go, they pay for it, they let us know when it's paid for, and then we can go pick it up.
I understand, but I'm just concerned they don't.
Pretty simple.
So,
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Checking in on that.
we coordinate this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nurseries.
That's why I usually friend with them, they order it ahead of time.
Just know that the budget is 500.
500 just for the tree.
500 from the Memorial Tree Fund, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Fund that. be enough. Come up with like this.
It should be on the 24th.
Say it again,
Should be the 24th.
Friday. Tree, like how they have the kids show up to that on Friday.
The biggest thing is when I actually am able to communicate with the
Sure.
facility myself, then I'll be able to find out their hours of operation.
Okay.
So normally that's what makes it fall online.
Yeah.
What's the best time? What's the highest traffic time for, the parents to come pick them up?
Right.
If the parents are really picking them up within a certain window, maybe that'd be ideal because then the parents could be part of the celebration with their children.
Yeah.
So it's really, the discussion that's had, because every single place that we've done this is gonna have a different
Right.
time frame that's better.
Yeah.
That makes a lot. Of sense.
So Maiden Lane is parking on one side. I'm not sure what days the parking on that side of Maiden Lane is. If that's a day when there's parking allowed on that side, we'd want DPW to cordon off that
So, yeah,
area.
Wow.
Um,
I've been parking for a couple of days, like that day.
yeah.
Mhm.
Just for safety.
That neighborhood's used to orange cones saying don't park, but they understand. I know, because I live in that neighborhood.
Yeah. With whatever communication that you're
No,
experiencing, right?
That's
Yeah.
super busy, and
Yeah.
even for me, like internet and
Yeah.
it's difficult.
Well, at this point, I will just contact the school and the director of the education program. I was contacting the admin directors of the facility,
Mm,
but, I guess they were already talking to
yeah,
Corinne, so it was necessary. So I'll just move forward with the director of the education program.
that sounds good. I think the thing to figure out. Barrier.
I think the parking is actually better than the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope that the Y would be open. I mean, it's not like you get 100 people from the public to
No.
really attend.
Yeah.
It's more like the members, the
Mhm.
tree commission, maybe the elected officials would show up. You get you get Memorial Tree Fund members that come. You
Absolutely.
might get some of the neighbors,
There's
that
an
are.
amount of parking on Clinton right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
collectively, you might get 20 people tops. And I think, the
Yeah,
Y
to do
is,
events.
I would hope that they would be
Totally.
open to that.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
So-
one or the other one I could figure out, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm just going to send you information.
Okay, good.
I am out of town,
Got it.
so then I will have something written to you to report on.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And can the Y person make our March meeting?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that can, like,
It would be
and
good.
we'll see like who the person will be, because if the person was.
Yeah, maybe the three of you can meet in advance of that, so that, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, the spot, the tree was going to be, we're planting the tree on the, like, in the parking lot, right? Is that kind of edge between YWCA and another commercial building? Or,
Parking lot.
yeah, because I think
Is
it's
it
kind
next
of
one?
joint parking lot, and just so I just want to make sure, like, if it's something close to their parking lot, it's not going to, I mean, like, this, we don't want to cause any, like, issue.
Yeah, but that's why I'm gonna look at the survey to make sure that, like, where's property line for sure, and just give it.
That's a good point.
Just
I
a
mean,
courtesy to talk to the neighbors too, saying if the survey comes back that it's their that it's all YWCA's property, but it's still along the line, there's nothing wrong with, just saying, hey.
No, it's a good point.
Yeah, I'm sure they have like, because they remove all the tree before, so they must
But I mean, it's also gonna create shade to their very hot
Yeah.
driveway, I mean, parking lot as well, so I'm sure that nobody would object to it.
Given, that there's a lot of pavement around it,
Mhm.
is there any thought about using structural soil or other something along those lines? Because that's exactly where, roots would be an issue, become an issue of, creating
Hopefully,
problems going
look at
forward.
2 weeks, seeing that the weather's gonna be in the 40s, I've heard a lot of melt.
I'm hoping. Before, but. $2 feet. That's. Straight down. Pavement, how it's currently. Over to.
Mhm.
And this won't happen before like what, 30, 40, 50 years?
And that's the thing, right? Just after like maybe 10 years, and we usually the ones that, oh, well, it's too big and the impact of parking spot, and I'm going to remove it. And I kind of defeat the purpose of planting the tree.
But I feel like this is not
Well, I mean, the idea, the tree commission supporting the planting is that it's sustainable
yeah.
for, a good period of time, and that we can demonstrate that by using a certain planting technique, that the pavement areas are not going to be disturbed. And I think that's an important thing to think about. Not that it's gonna be 5 years before, damage starts to happen. I mean, I don't, in 5 years, we wanna look back and say that tree is growing, it's growing healthy. There's no damage to any of the surrounding, infrastructure. Maybe at that point, by then, things might have changed more, but you don't know.
Because maybe I think too much, but at the same time, because it's located parking lot, right? And so if we just kind of create the area for the tree without any barrier, so the car might, just might back into the tree, or it might potentially damage the tree. I mean, I just,
Mhm.
That is.
and so that's the only thing, right? Like say, I mean, of course, the border between, like, the property borderline is one thing, and the second thing is
I agree.
the parking lot, because it might take, if they are going to take one strip, that means like one parking space will be reduced. And so if that parking space has been reduced, then why don't we just, if they can just, really put the barrier on top of it and to protect the tree, for the tree to continue to grow, that might be ideal.
Yeah, I think that. Either way. To some parking design, putting, like.
That area used for snow storage now. How do they plow? I mean, you also don't want them plowing a pile of snow.
For the amount of parking. Figure out.
But parents are trying to drop off their kids in
Yes.
daycare. They are pretty aggressive. I just so that's why I say okay.
Well, they have those cement bumpers that they can fit into spots.
Yeah,
But I think the biggest thing right now is like, we could have conversations for hours about it, but until snow melts and you can look at it in a couple weeks, it's a moot point. Because it might just be a wash to begin with.
yeah.
So I think that it's a great idea to revisit in March when you're able to look at it and say, yes, it's available to be done.
I'm totally. Hopefully good. Having enough time for that. So our scheduled time, next 2 minutes. I think the meeting.
Want to go home.
I mean, I have
It's been
some,
a very long day.
I have some time, but I'm looking to go, like, where to go. I mean,
Decide.
Fine, if you want to go.
I will just go ahead.
Why don't you think about doing a special meeting to solely focus on the training?
Mhm.
It seems to always end up at the end and there's not enough time to really think about it, take it in and gain constructive benefit from it. I think if you dedicate a meeting for a couple hours, you can really focus on some quality training for all the commission members to be in attendance.
If we can really pick certain element or which is fitting to the size and the purpose of our trade commissions.
Mhm.
And because I think that, even like the material we review is really fully for a large organization.
I would agree with you.
And so some of the material might not be applicable, such as
Yeah.
charter or other stuff, right? Of course, like,
Absolutely.
and as an independent organization, like that's applicable, but at the same time, that we are part of, the city government and just,
I mean, we
yeah.
could even think about doing a lunchtime, maybe training and everybody could zoom in and we could do it as a lunchtime type of training thing, and you could do a couple of those. But you're focused on the training and your attention is diverted to all these other things that also need your attention. You pick that's the purpose of that meeting.
yeah, but it's,
From like an education standpoint, because there's multiple members,
Mhm.
it's something where like you could go through and piecemeal the parts that Evan was discussing that were gonna be more beneficial for us. And then in groups, we could have a working meeting
Yeah.
where, chapter 4, these elements, Evan and Kareem are partners. And then they're going to review this information and come back for a shared session. And then, Vince and I are gonna get together and review chapter 5, these elements.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make notations. And instead of all of us having to go through 4, 5, 6, whatever, I'm making up numbers.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden now we come back and they have this big wealth of information narrowed down to just a couple of paragraphs of information to share with us.
Mhm.
And then Vince and I do, and then the next group does, and then you're covering more ground.
Yeah.
I think personally, I'm more interested in understanding what we do well right? You know, and while we don't do well, right? You know, I'm just saying like in terms of efficient, right? You know, just a lot of time when we are evaluate a commission or tree commission or whatever, a function, then we always have a KPI, right? You know, it
Yeah.
depends on how many, you know, of course, it depends on how many applications we have and how soon the application can be approved.
Can rely.
Yeah, so that's why I am, you know, interesting say, okay, so in general, similar if we can have a benchmark, you know, benchmarking with some other organization or, you know, similar to us and I think that one thing is about the goal, right? Like, you know, a lot of like the city, we want to create the tree of the city, you know, city of trees and we have target to plant the tree. But I think it's more interested to see that how are we going to, you know, that's part of our mission, but you know, how can we help?
The strategies.
Yeah, so it's just like to you know, so it's as a our function, like how can we be better, right? You know, so that's how we, you know, where we can focus. And I mean, I can read a lot of material, but at the same time, I would like to see, okay, what can we do better?
Creating your best.
Yeah, what I like about like having, you know, the assignment every time we meet is just like, it's a great way to kind of start to think about something and digest it until the next one. And I like this kind of like, today I was reading and I was just like, oh, partnership. So it's kind of like it clicks about like, hey, who we can partner with and, you know, stuff like this. So even though like there's some of it that's not applicable for like, for our size, there's still this conceptual idea of like, every time I think it's a different one, it makes me think differently about how we can turn this into like this project. And so yeah, like how can we harvest this, like, you know, everything at the end. But I like this idea of like, it's not too condensed in like too many hours, but just like this kind of like, hey, you know, because I think something to digest and kind of like think about it and it's sometimes for each. Like,
Absolutely.
maybe a point where we can harvest this into a meeting where just like all the stuff we have read. So now what do we do with this? How, you know, how do we better the pros, the cons and everything and just like have the plan together? I think it's a good idea.
Single ways we can, how can we make your guys' job easy?
I like that. Debbie, do you have any thoughts on the training?
It really doesn't matter to me. I guess I feel like I would go ahead and read it because I'm a very visual person and see what I get out of it. But having some of us focus on certain things and others focus on others and then share the information sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we need a motion to adjourn. Amanda, second. Green, all in favor? Okay,